Well, it's Monday. I'm sitting at a Cal-Tide here. It takes a lot of time to pump up all pressure. I've been here. Almost 2.5 hours. Came here at 10 to 8, and they open at 8. So I gave him a list. I said, okay, here's what I want. I want 120 psi on the truck tires, and I want 125 on the trailer. And they start asking me, like, are your tires like really 18 ply? Can they handle that type of pressure? And I said, guys, I've been here like 10 times. That's what each time I put. Like, I have to use 125 on the trailer because that's what my serial plate says, right? So for 60 ton, it says 125. But on the truck, usually I use, 105, 110, but because now the temperature keeps going up and down, right? I wanted to make sure. And he says the truck was okay. Actually, the truck was like 105, he says. But all the trailer was down because it's been a while since I was here. So he says the trailer was like 105, 110. And that's too low for this trailer. And so they have to basically air up, each tire, and then I had to retorque the front wheels because I rotated them, right? But after that, we're good to go. I called the plant. I said, guys, I want to come over during lunchtime. And I said, where's the main lady of the hour, Debbie? She's in the office there at the trailer plant. Oh, Debbie is sick, and she was not here Friday. And there's a note here that says that you can pick up the Stinger, but you cannot pick up the Jeep. And I said, really? She says, yeah, the note says D/D form is missing. I said, I know what that is. That's a direct deposit form. I emailed everything to the financial lady Friday. And she should have emailed your office. And this lady says, yeah, because Debbie was not here, so she never checked her email, right? And so I said, okay, I'll ask the financial company to call you guys to make sure that, because my impression was everything was done. And so I called them like half an hour later, and they said, yeah, everything is done. I said, does it have the plate? Like, did you do the registration for the Jeep? Because the Jeep, there's going to be another extra work, extra maintenance for me, because now, like I mentioned this in one of the comments, I have to show all my vehicles, so to speak, right? And I have truck, trailer, flip 1, flip 2, and they all have their own plate. I have to show it. I talked to another guy who is also running with a pin-on axle, like a flip axle that has its own plate. And he also agreed that, he says, yeah, if you don't show it, then, let's say even if it's up on the trailer and you're not using it, then when you're coming back, that, and you put it down, let's say with a load, right? You put it down, then the plate on that axle becomes kind of like your main plate. And then he says the customs might ask you, like, where did you get this trailer, And so this guy says, what he does, he just shows all plates no matter what. And so that's what I started doing. And quite often customs are confused, like I go there and my trailer is 602, 603, 604, right? And 604 is in the back, and 602 is the actual main trailer, and 603 is flip 1, 604 is flip 2. And last time I was crossing into Lewiston, New York, right, to pick up that Volvo. The guy's looking at the form, and he's looking, and then he looks at me and he says, so which one I'm supposed to use here? And he looks out the window. How many trailers do you have? I said, well, I have one trailer, but it's a tandem, so the 2 flip axles in the back are technically trailers as well, and they have their own plates. I have to show them, right? I said the 604 is the one that's on the ground. That's the last one. Okay. And so now we'll have the Jeep. I think I'm gonna call it 605 because it's also a trailer, right? It's not a truck. So a truck is I want to keep 3 in the front, like mine is 305, and then I came up with 602, which I don't know if you guys realize, but 602 is like kind of was a clever way to name the trailer, because it's a 60-ton and it has 2 axles, right? So 602, 60 ton on 2 axles, and then I just went one up from there, right? 603, 604. So I think, yeah, the Jeep will be 605. I'll have to pick up the lettering somewhere, you know, add on the Jeep 605. Maybe I'll add my company name or something like I did last time with Kaufman, like Sergei Drachev heavy hauler. So yeah, everything is ready. The plant is waiting for me, and they said just don't come between 12 and 12:30. That's when they're taking their lunch break. But thankfully, at least the weather now is not too bad. Right, it was raining. It was plus 10, 50 F, and then all of a sudden overnight it started snowing, and in the morning it was -7, which is like 25, 20 F, you know. So I couldn't even open the doors on my Challenger. The doors were frozen because there was water probably got between windows. And one thing on the Challenger that I'm not a big fan of is that I think Mustang did the same thing. Like each time you open the door, the window goes down a little bit, right? And when you close the door, the window goes up. And so when everything is frozen, that kind of like complicates things, right? And this thing, everything is, the door is frozen, right? I'm trying to open it, and the handle is so small, you know, and it like goes up, like there's not enough grab in there to pull it. So I I had to force my fingers like on the side at the bottom under the door, between the door and the body, and finally I was able to unstick it. I'm telling you, I think, okay, what do I do now? Like, and then I closed the door, and I started warming up the truck, and I noticed there's a crack at the top corner because the window couldn't go in the proper kind of like channel, and it was like sticking out. So there's a hole on this side, and there's a hole on that side. And I'm thinking, no, that's not good. Like, I'll start driving, right? It'll be whistling and making all kinds of crazy noises, and plus it'll be cold in the cab. And so what do? There's no frame on the Challenger, right? Like here you see there's a frame, right, between the glass. But on the Challenger there's no frame here. There's just a door and then the window. And the down up buttons didn't work because again everything was frozen. And so what I did, I started hammering on the window. You know, I hammered like at the top like this, boom, boom, boom. You know, and I hammered here. And finally, yeah. Hold on. Yeah, sorry. So I started saying that I started knocking on the window, and what's funny, right? As soon as I said that, the guy started knocking on my window. It's the poor guy that's been out for 2 hours airing tires, and he says my gauge froze. So we're getting a new gauge. He says all I need is all I have left is 2 tires. Well, that's a nice looking. Okay, Whopper, check this out. Blue, kind of like same as mine. Transdef, diesel exhaust fluid. Oh wow, it's like a tanker that specializes in diesel exhaust fluid. And speaking about DEF, I'm pretty low, but I cannot show it to you. Actually, I can. I think. Hold on. But I know I'm less than half. Yeah, you see. Less than half. So I had low voltage disconnect for some reason. I guess it's cold, and the truck was sitting for 2 days, and I left my tablet plugged in, and it was almost like empty, and so the truck charged the tablet, and now I have low voltage disconnect. Like, how much does the tablet need, you know, in terms of does it need in terms of voltage? I don't know. So anyway, so we're almost done. As soon as we're done, I just want to stop at Walmart here, grab some snacks, because I'll probably be there all day just like yesterday. I mean last time I had to borrow the truck to go to There's no food in there in that small town of, and I had to eat McDonald's. I don't want to do that because now we're on strict diet. And so there's see, there's all these dealers in here, right? That's Nissan, Greg Van, Nissan. There's Toyota, and over there's Gold Chrysler. These guys sell my kind of car, but actually I got mine from a different town because they had a better pricing. But on the other side there's a big intersection. On the other side there's a Walmart, there's like a Best Buy. It's a whole shopping area, so I want to go there, see what they have in terms of protein bars, right? So I want to grab some protein bars, maybe grab some tea. Well, I'm inside the plant, dropped my trailer. They said they're coming with just the neck, and now they're swapping the neck extension. They're taking off my 36-inch and putting on 83, and then we're gonna hook up the Jeep and see how they fit. By the way, that's my see, that's my Stinger, or rather spreader, because it doesn't have axles, but massive. So what we did so far is they disconnected, they took my neck off, like using the crane, and you know, I came in with just with the neck, right? And they hooked up hooks to the neck, and then they say unlock your fifth wheel, and it unlocked very easily, and then they just slid it off and parked it there, and then they used the crane again. Like this crane, I'm telling you, with the ceiling crane, you can do it so much faster than trying to disconnect, rehook, you know. And they asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, yeah, well, at least let's hook up the Jeep, you know, hook up the flip box, the Jeep, and I said I want to make sure that I have enough hoses to use the PTO on the truck, right? Because now it's going to be much longer. And right away they discovered a little problem, that my connectors are different, like this quick disconnect. And they said, is it okay if we change them? Is this the only truck you have? And I said, yeah, change them as long as you give me pink. I said, if you change all connectors, make them pink. And got a smile out of the guys, and so now they're changing the connectors on the PTO hoses, and the Jeep has its own hose. I'll show you, you know, I don't want to film inside the factory, so I'm just, you know, I'll show you everything once it's connected. But basically we're only testing the Jeep and the flip box, and then the spreader, I asked him to disconnect one of my axles, hook up to the spreader, and just load it on the back, you know. And I'll ask him for a quick lesson how to use that spreader, because this is the first time. I never used this air assist, like there's no hydraulics, it's air assist, but it looks very well made. I'm pretty sure I'll be coming back to these guys for some extra parts, you know, like maybe deck insert or spare deck, you know, if I win a lottery or something like that, because my trailer is a modular trailer, right? So I can change decks if I want to. I can, you know, get like a beam deck, or I can get drop side rail deck, you know. But for now I'm happy with this one, but sometimes I do miss my drop side rail, you know, because you're so much lower. And if you're in Midwest somewhere like Oklahoma, whatever, Illinois, yeah, overall height is not an issue. You can always permit it for overall height. But where I am running, right, like New York, PA, you know, Chicago, I mean New Jersey, Maryland, overall height is very important. And so like I would never buy again the drop side rail with 8-inch difference between the center and the center. It's just crazy, but something like 4 inches, you know, would be great. All right, maybe let me go check to see what they're doing. Oh, and I also asked them to fix my broken bar on the slider. So they're gonna they straighten it out, they welded it, and it looks much better. So the truck is gonna be, once I leave this plant, we'll have a new Jeep, new Stinger, new flip box, and the truck will look like new again. Oh, and I decided I was asking them to give me credit for the 36-inch flip box, but mine is 2 inches wider than what they use here, and it says leave it here, and then if we can use it, we'll let you know. And I said okay, and then if I sell it, I'll just send the guy to pick it up here, you know. So because I have nowhere to keep it, like I'm not in the yard, right? Like if I leave it in my yard and I'm gone, somebody might steal it, but here it's much more safer. So I stuck my business cards on top of the neck. I said, so just that you guys don't confuse it with one of your own. And they promised me they're gonna keep it somewhere inside, because that thing is $7,000. You know, all I'm trying to do is just sell it for maybe 3,200 US, you know. So that's my trailer. So I dropped the trailer like this, you see. Took the neck with me. Kind of like always, you know, looks funny, right? When you when you just see the trailer. No neck, nothing. But at least this way nobody can steal it. And in case, remember that's what I had trouble with. Remember this thing didn't wanna lock properly, right? So they had to replace this entire thing. At the Fontaine in New Jersey, but now it goes in and out, so that's kind of like a safety pin for the neck, right? But the whole thing sits on this when it's raised, so it's not going anywhere. But what I need to do now is, you know, there was oh, and when we were loading, the guy bent it back. I don't know if you see, it's only slightly out of shape. You know, we put it like this, and the guy, we put a timber underneath, and the guy pushed it. Oh, and I put a timber here, and the guy with that Volvo excavator pushed it. But what I noticed is that we had this freezing rain, and I couldn't move the right height control. It was all frozen, and so for me to move, I had to bend it a little bit like this way, and now you see it's too far. It doesn't want to lock, and so I need to put something in here and just hit it. Like everything works, I think. Hold on, I hope I didn't break something again. But yeah, everything locks. You see, like this thing just goes like this. Yeah, it moves like this. So that handle, when you move that handle, this thing changes the angle here, and that adds or takes the air out, right? So everything is cool here. Nothing is broken. Just I gotta bend it back, and the Stinger looks incredible. And why they need such big airbags in there? Because that's what equalizes weight. You know, I'll talk more about that one. It's very sophisticated and yet simple design. So there's no hydraulics. It's much lighter, you know, and also it just uses air, right? Kind of like the same idea like here, right? You have these airbags, right? But on that trailer they're much bigger. And I'm going to ask him for a quick lesson or something, but once we finish, what we're going to do is we're going to take these pins out, separate this axle, and hook it up to the Stinger, and then load it. So I guess I'll be carrying the Stinger with the one axle somewhere here, because yeah, that scraper that I'm loading, the rear axle has to be here. See, I would love to do 2+2, but I need this axle because this is the Flip One trailer 603, and you see, that's what I was talking about plates. Look, this is the trailer 602, this is Flip One 603, and this is Flip 2. And they're all like, this one ends in 0201. See, perfect. So Flip 1, Flip 2, and trailer is 03. I'm talking about the plate. So they're all in succession, you know. because sometimes, you know, cops, when they check my paperwork, and I give them all my VIN numbers and, you know, so all these certificates and ownership titles, right? They're confused and they say, okay, which one is the trailer? And I have no idea. And so now I remember that flip 1 ends in 1, flip 2 ends in 2, and trailer ends in 3. That's it. Of course, it would be easier if the trailer was 1 and then 2 and 3, but what do you do? Nobody's perfect. Oh, and one cool thing, I double checked, they did safety. They did safety on the Jeep, Ontario safety, because again, it's considered a vehicle, right? It has its own plate. By the way, check the marking on the neck of the Jeep. It says 7800. That's pretty darn good, you know, for a tandem Jeep. So if I'm 60, hold on, 60, so we are 60. Okay, but then the new flip box is probably at least 1,000 pounds. And then, okay, let's say 8. Right, that's 61, and 8, that's 69. No, yeah, that's what I thought. And this thing is probably at least 3,000 pounds. So I'm gonna be, if now I'm 60, with all those goodies, with my birthday presents, because that's what I consider them, you know, birthday presents. Because today is what, 13th, and I just had a birthday on the 10th. All right, let's fix this thing and then go inside. It's getting cold. And these guys are still here. Remember when last time I was here, these trailers, I think they were sitting over there. These hydro, you know, electric power. Very fancy trailers. They're very wide. Not all of them, I think, but hold on. No, all of them. I can see that the deck, check, I don't know if you guys can see it. The deck is wider than the wheels, right? And that's not normal, because on my trailer, check this out, see? On my trailer, the deck is the same width as the wheels, so that's 8 feet 6 inches, or 102 inches. So those are, of course, very cool for you know, wide loads, but then it's okay if you're only dealing with Ontario with one permit, because you always have to run with a permit, which is fine, like I do that myself here, but that very unpractical if you go to multiple jurisdictions, you know, like Canada to US, because then you need a permit everywhere, you know, and it costs money. So you have to pay like 30, 40, 50 bucks each time you cross a state. So it's very expensive. So these trailers are great for local guys, you know, that constantly moving something super wide. So, and so with these trailers, they don't have to use these. They don't have to use these outriggers. See, those my boards. I need to get some new ones because that one is broken. You see, the one is shorter than the other, and that's not good. Maybe I'll ask these guys, because they have timbers here, right? Because they put timbers on the deck. They should have something, you know. Just want to get maybe like 4 new pieces of oak, but we'll see. Well, it's already dark. All the workers left except these 4 unlucky guys inside. They're working on the Stinger, and that's our biggest issue. But that's the neck, you see. I left on my old 36 inch, so this one will be so that's my standard 101, right, from the plant. And I put in my old kingpin. It was lying around there because before we used the kingpin on the flip box on the 36 inch, and now I'm gonna be riding in style with this one. And they put it down, they made sure everything fits, you know, these pins go in, everything is cool, and they gave me extensions. There's like PTO hoses over there. I don't know if you guys can see, but you see those? So those are not just electric and stuff, but those are PTO hoses. So I can hook up to the Jeep, and the Jeep has hoses as well. Yeah, and they gave me new fittings. I got new fittings, which is pretty cool. And then the problem we ran into is that the Stinger, when they did the measurements when I came in here, they used my pins, you know, they put in the Stinger at the bottom. But when they were working on this, they forgot and they used their own pins, which are much bigger, right? And so now they're trying to hook up, and those big pins, okay, they go in their part of the hole on the Stinger, but they cannot go into my trailer hole because they're just too big, you know. And so we were scratching our heads like, what's going on? Everything worked before, right? And that's what they came up with, that they used my pins for measurement, and then they used their pins for manufacturing. And so now what they're doing is they put them in that, what do you call it, like lathe or whatever, that, you know, machine that can take off material from the pin to make it smaller. So that's what we're doing. And the poor guys are here. It's already what, like, I don't know, 6, 7. But the Jeep looks great, except that I don't know how am I gonna show you guys when it's so dark, you know. Maybe I'll go to like to a Walmart or something where there's lights. But if I go into my parking lot, there's no lights in there. Anyway, back to the grind. Now they're hooking up the Stinger to make sure it connects to the trailer. Alright, very briefly guys, because it's already very dark, late. I spent all day today at the plant, and that's what we got, right? So we got this nice shiny 83-inch flip box, right? And we loaded the Jeep like this, with the neck towards the front, so it sits on these legs, and yeah, it sits on these legs over here. Nice looking Jeep. The weight is about 7,800 pounds, and they gave me that stick for the hoses over there, you see. And everything is cool here. Very big slider. Big slider. They gave me fenders on both axles, all aluminum rims, and not just cheap, but Alcoa. You know, so 4 aluminum rims on each axle. It's pretty long, and that was the only way we could load this. So that's the Jeep, right? The Jeep, and here's the Stinger. So basically they hooked up. That's the part. The main part is this, right? This part. That's how the pressure gonna be transferred between the axles. Those huge airbags. And then over here, we hooked up one axle, right? Because like I said, I need this. Which booster? I think I need this, the very last one. I will need this booster for axle of the scraper truck. And so otherwise we would do 2. And we had issues. First of all, they couldn't connect the Stinger to over here, because turns out these are tighter than these on the trailer. Like there's more space between outside eyes, you know, than there. And they spec'd everything for this, because the last time we disconnected this one, we were hooking up the Stinger to this and everything worked. But now they discovered that when they tried to connect the stinger, like these eyes, right? When they try to connect these eyes over here, they had issues because the tolerances were too small, and so they had to do some you know, grinding and stuff like that. But finally everything worked, so I hope it'll work. I told them, I said, my main concern is I want to be able to hook this up in the field where somebody will just have a forklift, right? And this one we can, and I bent this one, but it works, right? And this is my axle, right? So I didn't buy I already had this, right? Because you see now I only have 3 axles, right? And we took this one off from the back and hooked up here, and so this is a steerable, becomes a steerable stinger, which goes in the very back there. But this is how I'm gonna drive if I don't find a load to Alberta. This is how I'm gonna drive. So the Jeep is loaded like this. I thought we would load, like I see other guys load the stinger on the back, but actually that's what we did, right? That's the only way. They also wanted to put this wheel somewhere here, but then the stinger will stick out. That's not good. And then if we flipped it and point the stinger this way, it's not going to be enough room here, because you see the way the Jeep is positioned here, the neck, check this out, the neck overlaps my trailer, you see. So we were able to use this much space, right? Because this, you know, it's so nice because it has legs, and they gave me these fancy round support platforms, and they tilt, you know, they're not just like those square ones. I think these ones are better because they can move a little bit. And so I have no idea, like it's gonna be something, you know, to hook up everything for the first time, but I'm very happy. So we'll do a different video, and I'll post more pictures, you know, when it's daylight. Oh yeah, and I left my 36-inch flip box at the plant. I said, maybe guys, you can figure out something, maybe you'll give me some credit, see if you can use it, you know, because I don't have, like, if I leave, where do I leave it? I leave it there, somebody might steal it, you know. So because I'm gonna drive like this all the time with this one, with 83-inch, because this is for the Jeep, right? Yeah, very nice, compact. So this is my new look. Well, that's it. Time to relax a little bit, because I spent how much I spent? I was there at 12 o'clock, right? 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock? No, 1, yeah, 1:15, and from 1 till 8, and all I had was a couple of protein bars, you know. It took a very long time to do everything. Oh, but one cool thing, one thing they did, yeah, they fixed my bar, you know, that bent bar behind the truck, like that one. They welded that other end, and they straightened this part in the middle. So very cool. And then what else? Well, yeah, and they had to change all the connectors. What did they change? They either PTO or yeah, I think it was PTO. Yeah, they changed PTO connectors because their connectors are different. And so these ones, what I have now, these are my, you know, old ones, but everything else, all the other quick connect are different now. But they match, and that's what matters, right? Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching.